afternoon, everyone. This is Jared Rand, and welcome to the Global Guided Meditation Call for Saturday, October 8th, 2022, 11 to 3 p.m. Eastern. A lot of us, we believe we know what love is, but it's such a broad word. And love is not what is ordinarily understood by the word, okay? The ordinary love is just a masquerade. Something else is hiding behind it. The real love is a totally different phenomenon. The ordinary love is a demand. The real love is a sharing. It knows nothing of demand. It knows the joy of giving. The ordinary love pretends too much. The real love is non-pretentious. It simply is. The ordinary love becomes almost sickening and syrupy and drippy, what you call lovey-dovey. It is sickening. It is nauseating. The real love is a nourishment. It strengthens your soul. The ordinary love only feeds your ego, not the real you, but the unreal you. And the unreal always feeds the unreal. And remember that the real feeds the real. Become a servant of real love. And that means becoming a servant of love in its ultimate purity. Give, share, whatsoever you have, share and enjoy sharing. Don't do it as if it is a duty. Then the whole joy is gone. And there's a lot of people that do that. They feel, I better do this. I really don't want to, but I'm going to do it anyway. So don't ever do anything as if it is a duty when the whole joy is gone. And don't feel that you are obligating the other. Never. Not even for a single moment. Love never obliges. On the contrary, when somebody receives your love, you feel obliged. Love is thankful that it has been received. Love never waits to be rewarded, even to be thanked. If the thankfulness comes from the other side, love is always surprised. It is a pleasant surprise because there was no expectation. You cannot frustrate real love because there is no expectation in the first place. And you cannot fulfill unreal love because it is so rooted in expectation that whatsoever is done always falls short. Its expectation is too great. Nobody can fulfill it. So the unreal love always brings frustration, and the real love always brings fulfillment. And when I say become a servant of love, I'm not saying to become a servant of somebody whom you love. No, not at all. I'm not saying to become a servant of a lover. I am saying become a servant of love, the pure idea of love. Your lover is only one of the forms of that pure idea. And the whole existence contains nothing but millions of forms of that pure idea. The flower is one idea, one form. The moon another. Your lover still another. Your child, your mother, your father. They are all forms, all waves in the ocean of love. But never become a servant of a lover. Remember that always that your lover is only one tiny expression. Serve love through the lover so that you never become attached to the lover. Serve love through the lover so that you never become attached to the lover. And when one is not attached to the lover, love reaches in the highest peaks. The moment one is attached, one starts falling low. Attachment is a kind of gravitation. Unattachment is grace. Unreal love is another name for attachment. Real love is very detached. Unreal love shows so much concern, it is always concerned. Real love is considerate, but has no concern. If you really love a man, you will be considerate of his true need, but you will not show unnecessary concern for his foolish, stupid fantasies. You will take every care of his needs, but you are not there to fulfill his fictitious desires. You will not fulfill anything that is really going to harm him. For example, you will not fulfill his ego, although his ego will be demanding. The person who is too concerned, attached, will fulfill the ego demands. And that means that you are poisoning your beloved. Consideration means you will see that this is not a real need, but an ego need. You will not fulfill it. Love knows compassion, but no concern. Sometimes it is hard because sometimes it is needed to be hard. Sometimes it is very aloof. If it helps to be aloof, it is aloof. Sometimes it's very cold. If it is needed to be cold, then it is cold. Whatever the need, love is considerate, but not concerned. It will not fulfill any unreal need. It will not fulfill any poisonous idea in the other. Search into, meditate on love, experiment. Love is the greatest experiment in this life. And those who live without experimenting with love energy will never know what life is. They will only remain on the surface without going into the depth of it. Now, I can drop the word God very easily. There is no problem. But I cannot drop the word love. If and when I have to choose between the words love and God, I will choose love. I will forget all about God, because those who know love are bound to know God. But it is not vice versa. Those who think about God and philosophize about God may never know about love and will never know about God either. If you look up the word love, okay, if you just want to do a little research and you want to find out what it is or how it's defined, and I'll share that with you. The English word love comes from a Sanskrit word, labha. Labha means greed. It may have been just a coincidence that the English word love grew out of a Sanskrit word that means greed. There's no coincidence. There must be something more mysterious behind it. There must be some alchemical reason behind it. In fact, greed digested becomes love. It is greed, labha, digested well, which becomes love. Love is sharing. Greed is hoarding. Greed only wants and never gives. Love knows and only giving and never asks for anything in return. It is deeply and eternally sharing. There may be some alchemical reason that labha has become love in the English language, and labha becomes love as far as inner alchemy is concerned. See, there's a lot of things that we beings just haven't had the opportunity to know about. Real and unreal love. Alone, being alone. It is beautiful to be alone. It is also beautiful to be in love, to be with people. And they are complementary, not contradictory. When you are enjoying others, enjoy, and enjoy to the fullest. There is no need to bother about aloneness. And when you're fed up with others, then move into aloneness and enjoy it to the fullest. In this world today, freedom is our basic condition. And until we learn to live with that freedom and learn to live by ourselves and with ourselves, we are denying ourselves the possibility of finding love and happiness with someone else. Love can only happen through freedom and in conjunction with a deep respect for others and the other. It is possible to be alone and not lonely. Where are the boundaries that define lust versus love? And can lust ever grow into love? In love, freedom, aloneness, you will find unique, radical, and intelligent perspectives on these and other essential questions. In our post-ideological world, where all moralities are out of date, we have a golden opportunity to redefine and revitalize the very foundations of our lives. We have the chance to start afresh with ourselves, our relationships to others, and to find fulfillment and success for the individual and for society as a whole. Do you realize that all of our moralities and structures are way outdated? The family is outdated. If you were to begin to understand, if you have children and their parents, and then you have other men and other women, right? And those children learn from different perspectives from other men and other women, rather than just mother and father, because all of us are mother and father. So the children become much more aware, much more quicker, and much more earlier of who and what they are. Of course, the men and women also must be aware so that they can share their awareness with the children. That's crucial. This is a different understanding for us to comprehend as a people, that in the new earth, our direction will be eventually in that direction. It won't be the family and then all of the misery and disenchantment and conflict and disagreements and things that go on in families. We eventually understand that all of us are family. Not just, we've been taught that there's a family here, a family here, a family here, a family here. They all have different experiences, and they're brought up and raised and influenced differently. But in reality, in the true reality that we all are, the gods that we are, we're all one. Doesn't it make sense? One perspective in a family group is one perspective, right? So you learn that. But when you have multiple perspectives and a variety of avenues, you expand. In fact, you never stop expanding. You may be talking with one man, and this man will have a perspective and understanding that shares with you. You may not agree with it. So you would like to go to another man and ask this man his perspective. You can see how vast the knowledge base expands when you interact. You may go to a woman and ask this woman certain questions. This woman will have perspectives, and she will answer those questions from her point of view and perspective. Now, you may not vibrate on all of those, so then you go to another woman and ask her. And you see what I mean? You get more expansion, more understanding, different perspectives. It's like all of us are a mastermind group on this planet. We haven't come to the full realization that we're one, but this is one step even closer to it, much nearer, that we are all interactive when we're in this physical form, but we're all one outside the physical form. All of your unhappiness comes from your inability to be alone. Jean de la Bruyere. All of your happiness comes from your inability to be alone. No matter how separate we may feel, we are always intimately connected with this universe. We live in a vast ocean of conscious, intelligent energy that loves us, heals us, cares for us, and provides our every need. Now, this connection is the secret to reaching a transcendental state of bliss. Knowing that you are the divine, and the divine is surrounding you at all times. This is heart-mind understanding. Knowing that you are the divine and the divine is surrounding you at all times. You experiencing this is a matter of surrendering to this feeling that we are all connected to this divine, all-intelligent ocean of existence. All of the thoughts which make us feel separate and make us believe that we are separate droplets who are removed from this ocean are the original cause of all of our suffering. All of the thoughts which make us feel separate and make us believe that we are separate droplets who are removed from this ocean are the original cause of all of our suffering. To discover enlightenment, we must remember one important thing. Nothing is as it seems in this world. We know that there are always three sides to every coin. We are always alone, never alone, and enlightenment is found balancing in between these two. We are always alone, never alone, and enlightenment is found balancing between these two. The mirage of ideas your mind is projecting is not real. And you just repeat this to yourself on an ongoing basis. The only thing that is real is that which doesn't change. This is our true nature, the infinite soul that we are. When we stop believing in the false appearances of the mind, we open the door to our spiritual understanding of what is real and the possibility to be truly free. The demand for permanence in every area of our existence is the cause of human misery. The demand for permanence in every area of our existence is the cause of human misery. There is no such thing as permanence at all. Krishnamurti. Just know that it may be deeply challenging to constantly be free, as there are many layers of beliefs in the subconscious mind that are constantly overlaying its belief system on top of the reality we're living in. Our mind is a product of generations of ancestors' minds. How many of us know this? Truly so. Our mind is a product of generations of ancestors' minds who were also clouded by the truth, riddled with beliefs containing layers of self-doubt. We were all unconsciously programmed from a very young, innocent age to accept the many creative false beliefs given by our society, teachers, friends, and family, and great-great-great-grandparents who also believed they were separate beings disconnected from a divine, all-knowing source of infinite power. Now that we are aware, it is our chance to shift out of this ancient misunderstanding and know that we are always interconnected and one with everything on the most intimate, loving, and spiritual levels. Now, something I find really interesting to think about is that we are all each physically connected to the most enlightened beings who have ever walked this earth. And the scientists have proven that the atoms which we will breathe into our body today are the exact same atoms found in the Ascended Masters. When you realize that we're one, that everything is one, you then understand that this body you're in is temporary, and that which you really are in that body is forever. So therefore, everything in this life that we all experience in many different ways is temporary. It's a visit. And eventually, we will leave this temperance, this temporary existence. And we may come back several times. Everything that you have, so to speak, in this very moment, that you, let's say, own or have, or all of it, right? No matter how little or how much. That body you're in, right, is temporary. And this knowledge, this information, which everybody on this planet, the gods contain this, but because of all of this history of handing down, you can see why we all believe we're separate. And it's interesting to know that right in this now, your physical body has at least 1 million atoms that were actually in the body of Christ, Buddha, and Mother Mary. You also have atoms that have been inside every single star in the sky, every being that has ever existed since the dawn of creation. It is literally impossible for you to be separate from anything or anyone. So the real question is, what is it that actually causes us to feel lonely? Our perspectives, right? How we view things are not ours. And we don't know that. We believe they are, but they're really not. They are others. Everyone you meet in your life, even total strangers, is already intimately connected to you. The idea that we are separate and distinct beings is nothing but an illusion. We are all parts of a larger whole, like individual cells in a body. This understanding is paramount with this civilization. Now, obviously, it doesn't come from the ego mind to the heart mind. It comes from the heart mind to the ego mind. One of the biggest challenges that we have as a people, as a civilization, love yourself deeply, intimately, and eternal. Love yourself. Now, just the opposite has been taught to us by all the traditions of the world, all the civilizations, all the cultures, all the churches. They say love others, don't love yourself. And there is a certain cunning strategy behind their teaching. Love is the nourishment for the soul, just as food is to the body. So love is to the soul. Without food, the body is weak. Without love, the soul is weak. And no state, no church, no vested interest has ever wanted people to have strong souls. Because a person with spiritual energy is bound to be rebellious. Love makes you rebellious and revolutionary. Love gives you wings to soar high. Love gives you insight into things so that nobody can deceive you, exploit you, oppress you. And the priests and the politicians survive only on your blood. They survive only on exploitation. All the priests and the politicians are parasites. To make you spiritually weak, they have found a sure method, 100% guaranteed, and that is to teach you not to love yourself. Because if a man cannot love himself, he cannot love anybody else either. The teaching is very tricky. They say love others because they know that if you cannot love yourself, you cannot love at all. But they go on saying, love others, love humanity, love God, love nature, love your wife, love your husband, your children, your parents, but don't love yourself. Because to love oneself is selfish according to them. They condemn self-love as they condemn nothing else. And they have made their teaching look very logical. They say, if you love yourself, you'll become an egoist. If you love yourself, you will become narcissistic. This is just crap. A man who loves himself finds that there is no ego in him. It is by loving others without loving yourself trying to love others that the ego arises. The missionaries, the social reformers, the social servants have the greatest egos in the world naturally because they think themselves to be superior human beings. They are not ordinary. Ordinary people love themselves. They love others. They love great ideals. They love God. And all their love is false because all their love is without any roots. A man who loves himself takes the first step toward real love. It is like throwing a pebble into a silent lake. The first circular ripples will arise around the pebble, very close to the pebble. Naturally, where else can they arise? And then they will go on spreading. They will teach the farthest shore. They will reach it. If you stop those ripples arising close to the pebble, there will be no other ripples at all. Then you cannot hope to create ripples reaching to the farthest shores. It is not obtainable. And the priests and the politicians became aware of the phenomenon. Stop people loving themselves, and you have destroyed their capacity to love. Stop people loving themselves, and you have destroyed their capacity to love. Now, whatsoever they think is love will be only pseudo. It may be duty, but not love. And duty is a four-letter dirty word. Parents are fulfilling their duties towards their children, and then in return, children will fulfill their duties towards their parents. The wife is dutiful towards her husband, and the husband is dutiful towards his wife. Where is love? Love knows nothing of duty. Duty is a burden, a formality. Love is a joy, a sharing. Love is informal. The lover never feels that he has done enough. The lover always feels that more was possible. The lover never feels, I have obliged the other. And on the contrary, he feels, because my love has been received, I am obliged. The other has obliged me by receiving my gift, by not rejecting it. The man of duty thinks, I am higher, spiritual, extraordinary. Look how I serve people. These servants of the people are the most pseudo people in the world, and the more mischievous also. If we can get rid of the public servants, humanity will be unburdened. We'll feel very light. We'll be able to dance again and sing again. But for centuries, our roots have been cut, poisoned. We have been made afraid of ever being in love with ourselves, which is the first step of love and the first experience. A man who loves himself respects himself. And a man who loves and respects himself respects others also. Because he knows, just as I am, so are others. Just as I enjoy love, respect, dignity, so do others. He becomes aware that we are not different. As far as the fundamentals are concerned, we are one. We are under the same law. And as Buddha has stated, we live under the same eternal law. In the details, we may be a little bit different from each other. That brings variety. That is beautiful. But in the foundations, we are part of one nature. The man who loves himself enjoys the love so much becomes so blissful that the love starts overflowing. It starts reaching others. It has to reach. If and when you live love, you have to share it. You cannot go on loving yourself forever, because one thing will become absolutely clear to you. That if loving one person, yourself, is so tremendously ecstatic and beautiful, how much more ecstasy is waiting for you if you start sharing your love with many, many, many people? Slowly, the ripples start reaching farther and farther. You love other people. Then you start loving animals, birds, trees, rocks. You can fulfill the whole universe with your love. A single person is enough to fill this whole universe with love. A single person, so to speak, is enough to fill this whole universe with love. Just as a single pebble can fill the whole lake with ripples, a small pebble. Only a Buddha can say, love yourself. No priest, no politician can agree with it, because this is destroying their whole edifice, their whole structure of exploitation. If a man is not allowed to love himself, his spirit, his soul, becomes weaker and weaker and weaker every day. His body may grow, but he has no inner growth because he has no inner nourishment. He remains a body, almost without a soul, or with only a potentiality, a possibility of a soul. The soul remains a seed, and it will remain a seed if you cannot find the right soil of love for it. And you will not find it if you follow the stupid idea, don't love yourself. Love yourself first. It has nothing to do with ego. In fact, love is such a light that the darkness of the ego cannot exist in it at all. If and when you love others, if your love is focused on others, you will live in darkness. Turn your light towards yourself first. Become a light unto yourself first. Let the light dispel your inner darkness, your inner weakness. Let love make you a tremendous power, a spiritual force. And once your soul is powerful, you know you are not going to die. You are immortal. You are eternal. Love gives you the first insight into eternity. Love is the only experience that transcends time. That's why lovers are not afraid of death. Love knows no death. A single moment of love is more than a whole eternity. A single moment of love is more than a whole eternity. But love has to begin from the very beginning. Love has to start with this first step. Love yourself. Don't condemn yourself. You have been condemned so much, and you have accepted all that condemnation. Now, you go on doing harm to yourself. Nobody thinks himself worthy enough. Nobody thinks himself a beautiful creation of God. Nobody thinks that he is needed at all. These are all poisonous ideas. But we have been poisoned. We have been poisoned with our mother's milk. And this has been our whole past. Humanity has lived under a dark, dark, dark cloud of self-condemnation. If and when you condemn yourself, how can you grow? How can you ever become mature? And if you condemn yourself, how can you worship existence? If you cannot worship existence within you, you will become incapable of worshiping existence in others. It will not be obtainable. You can become a part of the whole only if you have great respect for the God that resides within you. You can become part of the whole only if you have great respect for the God that resides within you. You are a host. God is your guest. You are a host. God is your guest. By loving yourself, you will know this, that God has chosen you to be what? To be what? A vehicle. In choosing you to be a vehicle, he has already respected you, loved you. In creating you, he has shown his love for you. He has not made you accidentally. He has made you with a certain destiny, with a certain potential, with a certain glory that you have to attain. And yes, God has created man in his own image. Man has to become a god. Unless man becomes a god, there is going to be no fulfillment, no contentment. And we're talking about the God within the body, created in the image of the One. But how can you become a God? Your parents say that you are a sinner. Your priests say that you are doomed, that you're bound to go to hell. And they make you very much afraid of loving yourself. This is their trick, to cut the very root of love. And they are very cunning people. The most cunning profession in the world is that of the priest. Then he says, love others. Now it is going to be plastic, synthetic, a pretension, a performance. They say, love humanity, your mother country, your motherland, life, existence, God. Big words, but utterly meaningless. Have you ever come across humanity? You always come across human beings, and you have condemned the first human being that you came across. That is you. You have not respected yourself, not loved yourself. Now your whole life will be wasted in condemning others. That's why people are such great fault finders. They find fault with themselves and how they can avoid finding the same faults in others. How can they avoid that? In fact, they will find them and they will magnify them. They will make them as big as possible. That seems to be the only way out. Somehow, to save face, you have to do it. That's why there is so much criticism and such a lack of love. This is one of the most profound sutras of Buddha. And only an awakened person can give you such an insight. And he says, love yourself. This can become the foundation of a radical transformation. Do not be afraid of loving yourself. Love totally. And you will be surprised. The day you can get rid of all self-condemnation, self-disrespect. The day you can get rid of the idea of original sin. The day you can think of yourself as worthy and loved by existence will be a day of great, deep, eternal love. From that day onward, you will start seeing people in their true light, and you will have compassion. And it will not be a cultivated compassion. It will be a natural, spontaneous flow. And a person who loves himself can easily become meditative, because meditation means being with yourself. Now, if you hate yourself, as you do, as you have been told to do, and you have been following it religiously, if you hate yourself, how can you be with yourself? And meditation is nothing but enjoying your beautiful aloneness, celebrating yourself. That's what meditation is all about, celebrating yourself. Meditation is not a relationship. The other is not needed at all. One is enough unto oneself. One is bathed in one's own glory, bathed in one's own light. One is simply joyous because one is alive, because one is. The greatest miracle in this world is that you are that I am. To be is the greatest miracle, and meditation opens the doors of this great miracle. But only a man who loves himself, or a woman who loves herself, can meditate. Otherwise, we are always escaping from ourselves and avoiding ourselves. Who wants to look at an ugly face? Who wants to penetrate into an ugly being? Who wants to go deep into one's own mud, into one's own darkness? Who wants to enter into the hell that you think you are? You want to keep this whole thing covered up with beautiful flowers, and you want always to escape from yourself. Hence, people are continuously seeking company. They can't be with themselves. They want to be with others. People are seeking any type of company if they can avoid the company of themselves. Anything will do. They will sit in a movie house for 3 hours watching something utterly stupid. They will read a detective novel for hours, wasting their time. They will read the same newspaper again and again and again just to keep themselves engaged. They will play cards and chess just to kill time, as if they have too much time. They'll spend hours texting on their phones. We don't have too much time. We don't have time enough to grow, to be, to rejoice. But this is one of the basic problems created by a wrong upbringing. You avoid yourself. People are sitting in front of their TVs, glued to their chairs, for 4, 5, even 6 hours. The average American is watching TV 5 hours per day. And this dis-ease is going to spread all over the world. And what are you seeing? And what are you getting? Burning your eyes? But this has always been. So even if the TV was not there, if the TV never existed, there would be other things. The problem is the same. How to avoid oneself because one feels so ugly. And who has made you so ugly? Your so-called religious people, your popes. Your Shankarasharas. They are responsible for distorting your faces, and they have succeeded. They have made everyone and everybody ugly. Each child is born beautiful, and then we start distorting his beauty, crippling him in many ways, paralyzing him in many ways, distorting his proportion, making him unbalanced. Sooner or later, he becomes so disgusted with himself that he is ready to be with anybody. He may go to a prostitute just to avoid himself. Love yourself. Love yourself, love yourself. Buddha knew it. And this can transform the whole world. If and when you can destroy the whole ugly past, it can herald a new age. It can be the beginning of a new humanity. Hence my insistence on love. But love begins with you, yourself. Then it can go on spreading. It goes on spreading of its own accord. You need not do anything to spread it. Love yourself, says Buddha. And then immediately he adds, and watch. Love yourself and watch. That is meditation. That is Buddha's name for meditation. But the first requirement is to love yourself and then watch. If you do not love yourself and start watching, you may feel like committing suicide. Many Buddhists feel like committing suicide because they don't pay attention to the first part of the sutra. They immediately jump to the second, watch yourself. In fact, I have never come across a single commentary on the Dhammapada, on these sutras of the Buddha, which has paid any attention to the first part. Love yourself. Socrates says, know thyself. Buddha says, love thyself. And Buddha is far more true, because unless you love yourself, you will never know yourself. Knowing comes only later on. Love prepares the ground. Love is the possibility of knowing yourself. Love is the right way to know yourself. There was a Buddhist monk, Jagdish Kashyap. He's now dead. He was a good man. In conversation, Dhammapada and a group came across this sutra. So he started talking about watching as if he had not read the first part at all. No traditional Buddhist ever pays any attention to the first part. He simply bypasses it. So one of the men said to Bhikshu, wait, you're overlooking something very essential. Watching is the second step, and you are making it the first. It cannot be the first step. Then he read the sutra again, and he said, with mystified eyes, I have been reading the Dhammapada my whole life, and I must have read this sutra millions of times. It is my everyday morning prayer to go through the Dhammapada. I can repeat it simply from memory, But I have never thought that love yourself is the first part of meditation and watching is the second part. You understand that? And this is the case with millions of us all over the world. And this is the case with the neo-Buddhists also, because in the West, Buddhism now spreading. And we're all Buddhists, by the way. Every one of us. We contain the same essence. Nobody thinks that loving yourself has to be the foundation of knowing yourself, of watching yourself. Because unless you love yourself, you cannot face yourself. You will avoid. Your watching may itself be a way of avoiding yourself. First, love yourself and watch. Today, tomorrow, always. Create loving energy around yourself. Love your body. Love your mind. Love your whole mechanism, your whole orgasm, your whole organism. By love is meant, accept it as it is. Don't try to repress. We repress only when we hate something. We repress only when we are against something. Don't repress, because if you repress, how are you going to watch? And we cannot look eye to eye at the enemy. We can look only in the eyes of our beloved. If we are not a lover of ourselves, we will not be able to look into our own eyes, into our own faces, into our own reality. Watching is meditation. Be aware, be alert, don't be unconscious, don't behave in a sleepy way, don't go on functioning like a machine, like a robot. That's how people are now functioning. And before quiet time, I'll leave you with this. Mike had just moved into his apartment. He decided he should get acquainted with his across-the-hall neighbor. When the door was opened, he was delightfully surprised to see a beautiful young blonde bulging out of a skimpy see-through negligee. Mike looked her squarely in the eye and ad-libbed, "Hi, I'm your new sugar across the hall. Can I borrow a cup of neighbor?" Okay? People are living unconsciously. They are not aware of what they are saying, what they are doing. They are not watchful. People go on guessing, not seeing. They don't have any insight they can't have. Insight arises only through great watchfulness. Then you can see even with the closed eyes. Right now, you can't see even with open eyes. You guess, you infer, you impose, you project. I'll join you in the meditation, and I'll return to close us up. Take an easy and slow breath in through the nose, and an easy and slow breath out of the mouth. Remain still. Practice seeing everyone as being free from their ego. See yourself as being free from your ego mind, and sit for an hour today knowing you are not this ego. The ego is an illusion of ideas about who you are and who you are not. This residual self-image is just an image, a mirage, and not the real you. Simply practice seeing that you are egoless, free, and without borders or boundaries. Let go of all ideas about you today and be non-attached to whatever outcomes that show up. Take this with you for the rest of the day into the evening and night, following morning. We will return here Sunday, October 9th, 2022, 3 p.m. Eastern, to continue our global guided meditation call.